The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the quiet suburban neighborhood. Tammy, a young woman in search of her first home, stepped out of her car, excitement mingling with nervous energy. She had arranged to view a quaint house that seemed perfect from the online listing. As she approached the front door, Tammy couldn't shake the feeling of unease. The porch light flickered ominously, casting dancing shadows on the welcome mat. Ignoring the chill creeping up her spine, she rang the doorbell. The door creaked open, revealing a figure bathed in darkness. "Welcome, come on in," the voice said, unnervingly smooth. Tammy hesitated, but the allure of the house pulled her forward. She stepped inside, her eyes adjusting to the dimly lit foyer. Something felt off, but she couldn't quite place it. The man led her through the house, his movements fluid and practiced. He pointed out the features of each room with unsettling enthusiasm. Tammy's heart raced as she noticed subtle signs of a struggle, a broken vase, a scuff mark on the floor. Trying to maintain her composure, Tammy asked about the realtor listed on the sign outside. The man's smile faltered for a fraction of a second before he regained his composure. "Oh, she had to step out unexpectedly. I'm filling in for her." Doubt gnawed at Tammy's mind, but before she could voice her suspicions, a muffled sound echoed from a nearby closet. Her pulse quickened as she exchanged a glance with the man, who offered a strained smile in return. Ignoring his protests, Tammy hurried to the closet and flung open the door. Inside, she found the realtor bound and gagged, her eyes wide with fear. With trembling hands, Tammy untied her, the realization sinking in that she had narrowly escaped a deadly trap. Before they could make their escape, the man lunged forward, his true intentions revealed in a flash of malice. Tammy's survival instinct kicked in, and she fought back with all her strength, adrenaline coursing through her veins. With a final shove, Tammy sent the imposter stumbling backward, buying them enough time to flee the house and call for help. As police sirens wailed in the distance, Tammy clung to the realtor, grateful to be alive. In the days that followed, Tammy couldn't shake the memory of the near-miss encounter. The house that once seemed so inviting now loomed in her nightmares, a chilling reminder of the dangers that lurked beneath the surface. But amidst the fear and uncertainty, Tammy found solace in the knowledge that she had thwarted a sinister plot, emerging stronger and more vigilant than ever before. And as she continued her search for the perfect home, she vowed to always trust her instincts, no matter how tempting the facade may seem. Sarah's car had coughed and died on a deserted stretch of highway. It was getting dark, and rain pattered against the windshield. A flicker of headlights appeared in the distance, and Sarah felt a flicker of relief mixed with unease. Should she flag down an unknown car? The headlights came closer, an old truck, slowing down and pulling onto the shoulder. A bearded man stepped out. "Looks like you got yourself some trouble," he drawled. Sarah reluctantly explained her engine issues. He peered under the hood, clucking his tongue. "Well, darlin', I don't see nothing I can fix out here. How about I run you into town? There's a garage open late just a few miles down." The man seemed harmless enough, but Sarah had a nagging feeling in her gut. "That's really kind, but I'm going to call a tow truck," she said firmly. His smile faltered. "Suit yourself, missy." He slammed his truck door and drove off. Minutes later, as Sarah shivered while waiting for roadside assistance, her phone buzzed with a news alert. Police were searching for an escaped convict matching the bearded man's description. Her blood ran cold. This helpful stranger had the look of a predator in his eyes. Maya always booked a rideshare to get home from her late-night shifts. On this particular night, a battered sedan arrived, not the sleek Prius the app had identified. She glanced at the license plate. It matched. Assuming it was a temporary vehicle, Maya climbed in. The silence was eerie, the driver unusually still. Something on the floorboard glinted under the dashboard light. A knife. "Wrong address," she yelled, her heart hammering. "Stop the car." The driver slammed on the brakes. Maya fumbled with the door handle, pushing at it desperately. She tumbled out just as the car screeched away. On trembling legs, she ran down the street, the image of the blade etched in her mind. Later, the police would reveal that her rideshare driver was wanted for a string of recent abductions. Emily enjoyed the peace of her suburban neighborhood, with its manicured lawns and friendly neighbors. Then she started noticing an unfamiliar minivan prowling the streets in the early morning hours. Days turned into weeks, and the van seemed to be watching her house. At first, she dismissed it as paranoia, But after receiving several hang-up calls, Emily confided in her friend, a police officer. Her friend ran the minivan's plates and her face went pale. "Do not confront the man in the van. Leave immediately if you see him," she warned. The minivan was owned by a man recently released from prison. His record contained violent assaults against women who fit Emily's description. He'd likely targeted her from the start. The neighborhood organized a discreet safety network. Armed with walkie-talkies and the police on speed dial, Emily and her neighbors kept watch. Eventually, with their observations and security footage, the police arrested the man before he could act. His van now only existed as a chilling reminder in Emily's nightmares. Tammy felt the thrill of anticipation. He was waiting for her, Jason, her new online friend. They'd met 2 weeks ago in a gaming forum, and they bonded instantly. She felt such a powerful connection. He was funny, thoughtful, and he seemed to really get her. "You wouldn't believe my day," she typed. "Spill," he wrote back immediately. As she poured out her frustrations, he offered sympathy and witty jokes. It was exactly what she needed. "You should come visit sometime," he suggested casually. "We could hang out. Go see that movie you were talking about." A jolt of excitement went through her. "Really?" His address came promptly. On a whim, she typed it into a search engine. News articles splashed across the screen, alongside his photo, a mugshot. Headlines shouted his name, and with dawning horror, the words, "serial killer." Nausea welled up in her. Had she been that close? The realization left her cold and shaking. Breathless, she disconnected, and never logged back on. The building was ancient, its corridors shadowed and stale. The lock on Melissa's apartment door had always been temperamental, and tonight it decided to jam completely. Tired and frustrated, she rattled the handle, cursing her luck. "Problem?" A deep voice startled her. Standing there in the dimly lit hallway was her neighbor from across the hall, the quiet, older man she sometimes ran into. "My stupid lock," she grumbled. "Do you have any tools, by chance?" His eyes scanned the dimly lit hall. "Actually, I think I can get that open for you." "Hang on." He disappeared back into his apartment. Moments later, he returned with a small toolkit. Crouching, he expertly fiddled with the lock. There was a satisfying click. He grinned at her, handing her back the key. "There you go." Gratitude welled up in her. "Thank you so much." He turned to go, but then paused. "You alone tonight?" There was an odd inflection in his voice that made her pause. Yes," she said hesitantly. "Why?" His smile stretched strangely. "Thought I heard another voice before. Just checking." And then he walked away, the echo of his footsteps fading. Melissa slipped into her apartment, locking the door firmly behind her. Suddenly, his question, that slightly wrong smile, filled her with dread. Could she have accidentally heard? She pictured the newspaper clippings taped to the interior of his apartment door, discovered long ago when she accidentally got his mail. News reports of disappearances, all from within their city limits.